The Odyssey, chapters 11 to 15. Chapter 11. Odysseus and Princess Nausicaa. Odysseus was exhausted and slept beside the river. At that moment, Nausicaa, the daughter of King Alcinous, went out with her friends to wash clothes in the river. Afterward, they ate and began playing with a ball. Suddenly, the ball fell into the water, and the girls cried out to retrieve it. The noise awakened Odysseus, who was hiding nearby. He emerged slowly, covering himself with a branch because he was naked and dirty. The other girls were frightened and ran away, but Nausicaa remained still. Odysseus spoke respectfully and asked for help. Nausicaa was kind and explained that she was the daughter of the king. She provided him with clean clothes, food, drink, and oil for washing. Once Odysseus was dressed, he appeared strong and handsome. Nausicaa told him that she would accompany him near the city, but he needed to walk behind the carriage so that no one would suspect anything. She instructed him to wait in a forest and then go alone to the king's palace to seek assistance. Chapter 12. Ulysses, the mysterious guest in Alcinous' palace. Following the counsel of the noble Nausicaa, Odysseus set out for the city of the Phaeacians. Athena, protector of his fate, assisted him disguised as a maiden and concealed him beneath a magical cloud so that he could pass through streets and squares unseen until he reached the palace of Alcinous. When the divine veil dissolved, he appeared in the midst of the brilliance of the great hall. Those present were overcome with awe, unable to understand where that solitary traveler had come from. Odysseus, aware of the solemnity of the moment, bowed before Queen Arete with the humility of one who has endured long trials and seeks shelter. Alcinous, a magnanimous king, rose from his throne and received him with honor, offering him bread, wine, and rest, thus upholding the sacred law of hospitality. In that gesture shone the promise of aid, and Odysseus felt a moment of relief amid his endless journey. Before Arete's compassionate gaze, he recounted his shipwreck, the days of solitude, the years beside Calypso, and the storm that had cast him upon those shores, where Nausicaa had offered him her hand. Each word revealed the struggle between an adverse fate and his longing to return to Ithaca. Moved, Alcinous ordered a ship to be prepared to return him to his homeland. And the queen arranged a bed for his rest. Thus, after so many storms, Odysseus found in the home of the Phaeacians not only refuge but also the certainty that his return was near. Chapter 13. The Athletic Contest. When morning light spread across the horizon, King Alcinous gathered his people to discuss the fate of the stranger who had washed up on their shores. With steady calm, he selected 52 strong, skilled sailors to escort the unknown traveler back to his homeland. Once the king's command was set in motion, the Phaeacians headed to the palace, where a magnificent feast awaited them. Golden cups overflowed with wine, warm bread filled the tables, and the smell of roasted meat drifted through the hall. In the middle of the celebration, a blind bard took up his lyre and began to sing, a solemn tale of the heroic battles of the Trojan War. As the melody rose, Odysseus felt memory strike him like an unseen arrow. The battles, the losses, the years of hardship and strategy, all of it surged back. Tears filled his eyes, and he covered his face to hide the pain. Alcinous noticed his sorrow, watching the way the traveler tried to hide his tears, and understood at once that the song had touched wounds still far from healed. Wanting to lift his guests' spirits and bring some light back into the hall, the king rose from his seat and suggested they hold athletic games. The young men rushed to the arena with excitement, eager to prove their strength. Then one bold Phaeacian turned to the traveler and, with a hint of mockery, challenged him to show his own abilities. Odysseus answered calmly that he was exhausted from his long and difficult journey. But Euryalus, driven by youthful arrogance, hurled a cruel insult, saying the stranger looked less like an athlete and more like a wandering vagabond of the sea. The words lit a spark of anger in the king of Ithaca. With a fierce stare, he declared that his strength and courage were already beyond question, even if misfortune had worn him down. To prove it, he chose the heaviest discus, lifted it with hands toughened by the sea, and sent it flying with incredible force. The disc cut through the air with a sharp hum and landed farther than any other throw. Silence spread across the square. The Phaeacians watched in stunned admiration. Alcinouos smiled, pleased, and ordered the dancers to perform and the bard to raise his song once more in honor of their guest. In this festive atmosphere, the Phaeacians celebrated the traveler's skill and noble spirit, unaware of the trial's destiny still had waiting for him. Chapter 14: The Song of the Bard Demodocus. While Odysseus watched the Phaeacian dancers, the bard Demodocus lifted his voice and wove stories of beauty and glory. Each note filled the great hall with magic and light. Then King Alcinous, magnanimous and attentive, ordered his people to offer gifts to Odysseus, so he might carry an unforgettable memory of his arrival. All obeyed with reverence, and Euryalus, with a remorseful heart and shame in his eyes, stepped forward among the gifts, feeling the weight of his offense and the need to make amends. With a respectful gesture, he offered his sword to Odysseus, a symbol of reconciliation, honor, and acknowledgement. During the feast, Odysseus, his voice calm but firm, asked the bard to tell how the Greeks managed to breach the mighty city of Troy with the wooden horse. Demodocus narrated the heroes' cunning, their patience and deceit. They pretended to withdraw, leaving the enormous horse before the walls. And the Trojans, confident, brought it inside without suspicion. Within it, Odysseus and brave warriors waited for the night. And when darkness enveloped the city, they emerged from their hiding place, and with stealth and courage, opened the city gates from within, allowing the rest of the Greeks to enter and surprise the unsuspecting Trojans, thus sealing Troy's fate and Greece's glory. Hearing these words, Odysseus shed silent tears. Tears that spoke of nostalgia, the pain of war, fallen friends, and the long nights of loneliness at sea. King Alcinous, with a compassionate gaze and generous heart, asked the bard to cease his song, fearing to see even more sorrow in the weary hero. Then he turned to Odysseus and spoke with kind yet firm voice. "Tell us your name and where you come from, so we can offer you a strong and safe ship to return to your homeland." Chapter 15: Odysseus begins to tell his adventures, the Lotus-Eaters. Odysseus finds himself in the grand palace of King Alcinous, surrounded by shining columns and tapestries that tell stories of ancient heroes. Everyone present watches him with curiosity, their gazes filled with questions. For no one knows who the traveler is who has come so far. With steady steps, Odysseus rises. The hall falls silent as he speaks in a clear voice.
"I am Odysseus, son of Laertes."
A murmur spreads through the hall. King Alcinous is astonished. He has heard 1,000 stories about Odysseus, the legendary hero of Troy. Knowing that the warrior stands before him fills him with admiration. With respect, he asks him to tell his adventures. Odysseus nods slightly. His eyes reflect both weariness and pride. He begins to recount his story. After the war of Troy, Odysseus and his men set out for home, to Ithaca. First, they arrive in the land of the Cyclades, a coastal country full of villages, fields, and mountains. Here live strong and brave people, protectors of their lands and devoted to agriculture. But the welcome is not kind. The Cyclades attack Odysseus and his men. The battle is fierce, and many companions fall in combat. Odysseus feels sorrow, yet his spirit does not break. He knows he must continue his journey home. Later, a relentless storm sweeps their ships for 9 days. Finally, they reach a paradisiacal island, home to the mysterious Lotus-Eaters, who eat a sweet fruit called lotus. Odysseus sends 3 men to explore the island. Soon they discover the lotus and fall under its spell. Its sweetness is so intense that it makes them forget their home, their families, and they no longer wish to return to the ship. Alarmed, Odysseus searches for his men, finds them, and brings them back to the ship. With firm resolve, he binds them so they cannot escape. With renewed determination, Odysseus and his companions row with all their strength. Their boats cut through the turquoise waters as they leave the island behind, continuing their heroic journey back to Ithaca. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe so I can keep creating more content for you. Thank you.